Hi, this is David from David Simpson Apps. We're going to talk about configuring Google Analytics in Confluence and then also transferring the configuration and the account ownership from one Google Analytics user to another Google Analytics user. So here we have the main screen, the Analytics Overview screen within Confluence, and you can see that it's not configured yet. So we're going to go in and configure it. And the first thing that we do is we sign in with Google. We select all the permissions and press continue, and then you can see here that it has selected the only Google Analytics account that we have. So if we go and have a look at our Google Analytics, we can see that this one's just got the one property, and then you click on save and it says it's successfully updated, so it's configured there, and you can see all these items are configured. And then if we go back to the Analytics Overview, this is an example that we've used in the past, but not very much. So there's no data there, but data will come as after we've configured it. So it'll come in the next day or so. So that's great. But what happens if you want to transfer ownership of this Google Analytics account? So you want to go from this particular user, the GA account number 1 user, and we want to transfer the account to another user. So the way that we do that is we can go into admin here and we can have a look at property access management, and you can see we have a bunch of people at the moment. So here's our current one, and you can see this user is an administrator. So what we actually want to do is transfer it over to a separate account, and I just happen to have one over here. So this is my GA account number 2. Let me just copy that email address. And you can see if we reload this, that this is a fresh user, has no Google Analytics accounts. So if we go back to Google Analytics here and press on add access permissions, we can add a user, and we can paste this user's username, sorry, their email address, and we can send that. And now we can see that actually we only added them as a viewer. So let's go back. I want to add them as an administrator or as an editor. Let's add them as an administrator, because that will then allow them to remove the previous account in a minute. So now we can see they are an administrator. If I go over to their account, so over here you can see that we've got an account with one particular bird, and the another account, their avatar is a puffin. So if I now reload this one, they should have access to that. And if I just strip this URL and try again, there we go. Now we can see that they have access to our Quokka's, Confluence Cloud, our Google Analytics here, and we can have a look in here and see any details of that. So the next step in this would be to go in to Confluence. So if I go into Confluence now on this account, I'm going into a separate one, but we can go in, and I don't want to log in as that person, I want to log in as my normal user. So now we can go into Google Analytics in Confluence here, and I'm using 2 separate browser windows and 2 separate browser profiles, because on this screen we're using the Google Analytics account number 1, and on this browser profile we're using Google Analytics account number 2. So if I now go into configure here, we can sign in, but this time using Google Analytics account number 2, and select all and continue. And you can see here that it's because we've only got one Google Analytics account here, we only see the one property there, and then we can go in and save that, and now you can see it says signed in as Google Analytics account number 2, whereas previously in this screen it said signed in as Google Analytics account number 1. So that's good. We've successfully transferred the account from one user to another. The next stage we can do is go in here and remove the permissions from the original account number. So if we go to Property Access Management, we can say Google Analytics Dev 1. We can set that, we can change the roles to none, or so they've got no role assigned, or we could be a bit more brutal and we could remove them. So let's just go with the remove for now. So now Google Analytics account number 1 has gone. So that's good. So that is editing on a property access management. So this is on a property level. Now, it might be that you set this up on a different level. So if I just go into here, I'm actually going to go into my Google Analytics profile for David Simpson, and we've got some different account levels here. So if we have a look at account and account details, we can see the David Simpson account, and we can actually go into account access management here, and we could go in, we could actually upgrade this user to see all the properties in the account. So if I go in and do that now, and we're going to say that they're an administrator for this, and save, this would do the same as the one that was on a property site level. If we now reload this and go in here, we can see that they've got access to all of the different properties underneath this particular Google Analytics account. So you might want to do it on a property level, or you might want to do it on an account level. And it really depends on the way that you set these things up. If you've only got one property in your account, then I would recommend to do it on an account level, to go in there and to add them on an account level. And if we don't like that on an account level, we can set that back to none and save that. And let's see what happens. So it says that some selected users may have access because they've inherited from a group organization role. Let's just see what happens now. So you can see that they're still here, but if we go over here and reload, what I would expect to see is they would just go back to having one user here, and it's this one at the bottom. So let's just reload that page and see. So now we can see, what have they got? They've only got Quokkas. They've only got the Confluence Cloud for that particular account. Yeah, and that's essentially the way to move from one account to another, and then keep everything working within Confluence. I hope that helps.